I'm Julie Fleshman, President and CEO of PanCan. January is Pancreatic Cancer Clinical Trials Awareness Month. We are once again joined by host Alisyn Camerota and Marty Hynes to continue the conversation we started in episode 13 on participating in clinical trials and the barriers patients may experience.
Let's talk about the real barriers and the real obstacles rather than just the myths. And so, for instance, is there extra cost? If you join a clinical trial, does the patient get hit with extra cost of scans or extra blood work? Because you will have to do more of that.
That is correct, right? So there is a burden above and beyond the standard of care. So if you look at standard of care, that will be paid for by your insurance company. You know, whatever insurance you have will pay for that standard of care. So that could be something like FOLFIRINOX, and then you're getting, infusions every other week, you're getting blood tests, you're getting scans once a month. All of that would be paid for by your insurance company. However, as you correctly point out, above and beyond that, right, there are tests that the pharmaceutical company will want you to do, right? So you may have more frequent infusions, more frequent blood tests, more frequent scans, and that all costs money. But that will be paid for by the pharmaceutical company. They will pay for the drugs. They will pay for those scans. So they will defray all of those costs. And even above and beyond that, one of the concerns patients have is travel. And I think I've heard you refer on previous episodes to, people traveling across the country, right? Going maybe from New York City all the way out to Oregon, right? That's expensive. But many of these companies will pay for that travel. They'll pay for the lodging. They'll pay for meals. And in many cases, they'll even pay for a caregiver to go with you. So each trial is different, right? Each sponsor has, kind of the own uniqueness to their trials and the trial design. But their study personnel, right, the coordinators, the study nurse, will explain to you what is covered and what is not covered. And even above and beyond that, there are charitable institutions that will help fund travel for cancer patients.
I didn't know that. I did not know that the company would also pay for travel and for lodging, perhaps, or a caregiver, or that there were other foundations. I did think that was a barrier, but it didn't apply to us because we were in the New York City area, and that had lots of clinical trials that we were able to gratefully access. But that's really interesting. And yeah, I do want everyone to know the company, the pharmaceutical company that is trying to perfect this clinical trial or trying to execute this clinical trial needs you. So they need you. They need your participation. So they're willing to pay for whatever the out-of-pocket costs would be.
And that's absolutely right. So working in a pharmaceutical company, once we kind of launch a protocol, we want patients to enroll in that. And we will do whatever we can to help patients enroll. One, because we want them to get better, but two, we want to establish, a database that will be helpful. So the company is motivated to help you participate in the trial, as well as you're motivated as a patient to participate in the trial that might provide benefit to you.
Okay, so let's talk about some medical issues that crop up and people's fears around their own health or their own health records connected to clinical trials. What do you hear on that front?
Yeah, so I think a couple of things. One, patients are kind of reluctant to leave their care team, right? So they may have, a surgeon, an oncologist, gastroenterologist that are helping them, right? And so they formed a close working relationship. And now all of a sudden you're saying, well, go to another hospital, see another physician, see another surgeon. And they're kind of reluctant to do that, which is understandable. but you have to look at it from the standpoint that you're expanding the expertise that's going to be able to help you, right? So you're bringing different minds in with different skill sets. So you're strengthening your care team with more people with different tools that will help you survive. And you don't have to eliminate the current care team. They can continue to be involved in the treatment decisions that you're making. So you're just expanding the team, not jettisoning your previous team for a new one.
But Marty, is that realistic? Because in my limited experience, I do think that once you're out of the purview of your original care team, let's be honest, they are busy. The original care team is busy. They have tons of patients that need emergency care. So do they really check in with the new clinical trial team as much as, a patient would hope that they would? Do they coordinate, particularly if they're across the country or a different time zone or not, or they don't know each other?
Yeah, it requires extra work, right? And some of that extra work goes to the patient, right, to be proactive in communicating. But, that's one of the general problems that exist, right? Everybody is so busy taking care of patients, it's sometimes hard for physicians to advise on clinical trials or which one. So I think you're right. I mean, there are some hurdles. It is not easy, but I think you can work to maintain that relationship.
Yeah, I mean that leads me to what I always say on this podcast, which is you really need an advocate. You need to have your spouse, a friend, a whatever who advocates for you, because it's just what you're saying about. Like I had to constantly or regularly, I guess is more accurate, check in with the original care team and send them emails and say, can we schedule a phone call? Can I get everybody on a Zoom together? Here's a question that I have about this clinical trial. I mean, it was a part-time, a pretty active part-time job that I took on. And I just think that that's what's necessary. People need to know that they need to do that.
That is absolutely spot on. So the role of the caregiver, right, in this particular disease is very intense, right? Because they're doing everything that you just kind of articulated. In some cases, right, the patient may still try to work, right? So they're not feeling well, they're working and need some extra help to kind of navigate the medical system, somebody to advocate for their treatment and making sure they're not lost in the system. So I think that's an excellent point, because I think that's good guidance for caregivers, is to intervene in that way. And I think that just ups your chances of a positive outcome.
So here's another obstacle for patients. They're not well enough to travel to the trial site, to the hospital where the clinical trial is. What do you do about that?
Yeah, there's a couple of things you might want to think about. One, depending on how ill they are, maybe you can get assistance in traveling, right? So some of the airlines are very good with this, right? If you're doing a distant clinical trial, say you're flying from Indianapolis to New York City to participate in a trial, right? But some of the airlines will meet you curbside with a wheelchair, wheel you right onto the plane, get you a seat that's comfortable, if you work with them in advance. But certain people may be so sick that that's really not an option for them. So in that particular case, work with the study team and see what can be done locally, because some of these trials will allow some of the work to be done locally, not all, but some, right? So you may be able to get an infusion of study drug at home. You may be able to get the blood test at home. So there are certain things that may be able to be done locally that would save you travel.
That's good. I didn't know that. One thing that I found to be complicated, and I'm sure could be a barrier for some people, is the genetic or tumor testing that you need to have done to qualify. Because here again, as the caregiver, I felt that I had to spearhead a lot of that. So a hospital will do it, but then they'll send it out to a faraway lab, and then the lab doesn't communicate, or it never arrives at the lab, or it gets lost in the lab system, the tumor sample, and they can't find it. And then the, primary care physician isn't communicating with the lab. I do think that has to be streamlined somehow. It is complicated getting the testing in order to qualify for the clinical trial.
It's complicated because, you've had, I think, 2 or 3 episodes now talking about kind of genetic testing, right? The germline testing versus tumor testing. So some sites, right, you got to encourage the physicians to do both of those, right? And then you got to get it back quickly. Some of the major medical centers will do that on site, but most will send it out. And it takes time to get those results back. In fact, I know in my own personal case, they put them in the regular mail rather than email them so I could have them instantly. They're sending them through the mail. So you're absolutely right. That is one of the major things we need to work on to streamline, because that data is so important to have, right? You need to have that because that's going to help you better understand what particular trial you're going to be qualified for. But my encouragement is to all new patients, and their caregivers and advocates, is to try to get that type of testing, right? Both germline and tumor testing done as quickly as possible. Get it turned around. Most of these groups have genetic counselors you can reach out to that can helpfully, facilitate that process and speed it up, as well as help you understand what that all means. And then you can translate that into what clinical trials would you be eligible for.
Yeah, I just want to prepare people. Prepare yourself for the complications. And, the FedEx tracking number is going to be wrong, and then they're going to lose it, and FedEx is going to lose it, or they are going to deliver it, and they're going to have an actual receipt of delivery, but the hospital is going to lose it in their own lab system. Prepare yourself that this will be complicated, but you just have to stick with it because, again, that you need this in order to get into a clinical trial. And so what about medical information? What about people who are concerned that their tissue samples, their blood work, their medical information will be shared as a result of clinical trials, which it will, correct?
Well, in a limited fashion, yes. So, for example, if I gather, and the HIPAA rules would apply here, right? So if I did send my blood off, right, and I sent my tumor samples off and got genetically tested, got that information back. But then when I'm looking at a clinical trial, right, I will have to provide that to the treating site. So if there's a clinical trial, say at one of the major medical centers in New York City, I will have to send that to them, right? So they know Marty has, a KRAS mutation. He has, a particular type of KRAS mutation that would qualify them. So yes, you would have to share that information with those people. But, it's not being shared, globally. So it's just going to kind of the treatment sites. And they would be bound by confidentiality and HIPAA rules.
So Marty, I guess my most overarching question is, are things being done right now as we speak to help streamline patients into clinical trials, given all the obstacles that you and I have just outlined? Is it getting easier for people, or is this just by definition going to be complicated?
Well, I think I'm very optimistic that we can make things better than they are today, right? And there's a whole variety of ways to, I think, intervene in the process, right? And if you look at Let's Win Pancreatic Cancer, you look at PanCan, they're all trying to make it easier, right? So I've heard you refer to clinicaltrials.gov before on previous episodes, right? That is not easy to navigate, and the data is not up to date. We need to encourage pharmaceutical companies to do better there. But we already have, right, Let's Win and PanCan both have clinical trial finders that can help you and make that easier for you. So that's kind of an intervention. We're also working with those groups to help provide kind of a journey map for people. It's, here's where you start, here's the next step, here's what you do next. So trying to provide tools to patients and their caregivers that will make that much easier to navigate than it currently is.
That's
And yeah, and in addition to that, most of us help other patients, right? We talk to patients. We have a patient group here in the greater Indianapolis area. We get together, we share stories. We have patients ranging from 6 months post or 6 years post diagnosis to patients who were diagnosed a month ago. And we share notes, what helps, what doesn't help, here's what you do. So kind of just relying on other patients is also another mechanism above and beyond what Let's Win and PanCan can do for you. Because I think an important message to communicate to people is you are not alone in this, right? There are multiple groups out there that will help you. And we've mentioned Let's Win, PanCan, but there are other groups out there, right, that all have, a particular, expertise to help in a given way. So there are people out there, take advantage. It does take some legwork to kind of figure out who's out there and what they do. We're going to try to make that easier for people by, putting some of that information together, putting it on, the website so people can kind of navigate all of that in a much easier fashion. Informed consent is another big issue, right? If you've ever read an informed consent document, they can be daunting, right? I can remember spending hours with this poor woman who was just overwhelmed by the informed consent document, just walking through that step by step. We need to continue to pressure pharmaceutical companies to do that better, to involve patients in that process, because that will help refer to other patients who've been in clinical trials. They may be able to help navigate. AI tools, right, can also be helpful. You can load some of this information into an AI tool and say, take the medical language and translate that into something that's more akin to standard English that most people will understand. And I know a number of patients have benefited from that. So this is work that we need to do, right? This is important work that we need to do, and trying to make it easier for people because the drugs are getting better, right? So if I look back at when I was diagnosed and the options I have versus if I look at what's available to patients today, it's dramatically different. And there's so many more clinical trials now, and those clinical trials are showing encouraging data. So it's far more hopeful today than it was even 5 years ago. And so we need to get that message out to people, but those advances require people to get into the clinical trials, and we've definitely got to make that much easier for the patients involved.
So, Marty, last, I think our listeners would really like to know, how is your health today?
Good. I just did one of my 3-month checkups on December 23rd. Had the typical blood work, looking at my CA 19-9 levels, did a CT scan of my lungs, my abdominal region with and without contrast. So patients will kind of know that drill, and very fortunately, my CA 19-9 levels are within normal limits, and we didn't see anything on the scans that were untoward. So I have been incredibly lucky.
That's so great, Marty. That's really, really encouraging to hear. I'm thrilled to hear that you caught it early, that the treatment worked, even though you didn't get into a clinical trial, and that you're doing so well right now. That's really heartening. So thank you so much for being here with us. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
Yeah, well, thank you for the work that you're doing, right? So I listen to these podcasts as they come out. I find them helpful. But when I work with other patients, right, I forward those to other patients, depending upon the particular questions they have, the stage of their disease, and they're very helpful to those patients. So this is a tremendous service to those of us who have been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And then the other message I would deliver is don't give up hope, right? Continue to fight, right? The treatments are getting better. There's never been a more optimistic time for the treatment of pancreatic cancer than we have right now. So my encouragement is to people to look for clinical trials, seek help, because help is out there.
Well, Marty, that's a great message, and you are a great example of the success that people can have. So thank you for all the information. I've really enjoyed the conversation.
Well, thank you for all that you do. I greatly appreciate it, as well as I know other patients appreciate it.
Thanks, Marty. And thanks to all of our listeners for joining us on this episode. I'm Alisyn Camerota. I'll see you next time.
Thank you, Marty and Alisyn, for that informative discussion around clinical trials. I'm Cindy Gavin, CEO and co-founder of Let's Win. If you or a loved one has been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, navigating this journey can be extremely overwhelming, but you don't have to do it alone. We hope you'll explore the available resources for patients and caregivers through PanCan and Let's Win. You could find PanCan at pancan.org and Let's Win at letswinpc.org, where you can search for trials through our clinical trial finder tools and access support from our patient services and trial navigators. Together, Let's Win and PanCan are committed to guiding you every step of the way, offering support, information, and hope. Don't forget to follow the Panc Chat and get new episodes twice a month. Panc Chat is available on all major platforms wherever you get your podcast. We look forward to seeing you next month.